morning to everyone and welcome to the launch of the Geneva Digital Atlas. Today we are hosting this event from a very special place, the ConfTech Lab by DiploFoundation and the Geneva Internet Platform. Here we are experimenting on the future of meetings, namely the interplay between technology and new conferencing tools and the interplay that we have in situ meetings. Those tools that we have much used during this pandemic, how we can best use them to render the physical proximity and the interaction that we would have during in situ meetings. I have the pleasure to have with me today my colleague Teresa Orezova, who will lead us through the event.
Thank you very much. And I have the pleasure of introducing to you my colleague Marco Lotti, who is the very important person behind the exercise that we are going to present to you today. While we are approximately 20 centimeters apart on your screens, rest assured that here in our ConfTech Lab, there are safe 2 meters in between us. As you know, today's event will focus on introducing a very comprehensive resource on who is who in digital policy in International Geneva. We will try to introduce it to you, dig deeper in the methodology, and get your inputs about how we should take it from here. In addition to Marco and me, here in Geneva, we are also in the presence of the director and head of the Geneva Internet Platform, Dr. Jovan Kurbalia. And online, a very important person for you, in addition to many colleagues behind the scenes, will be our colleague Katarina Höne, Director of Research, who will be the bridge between all of you online and us here in Geneva. Thank you once again for joining. This exercise wouldn't be possible without support of many of our important collaborators and partners. And I would first very like to present to you Madame Nathalie Fontanet, who is the State Councillor in charge of the Department of Finance and Human Resources at the Republic and Canton of Geneva. Madame Fontanet, the word is yours.
Thank you very much. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear friend, I'm very pleased to participate to the exciting launch of the Geneva Digital Atlas. On behalf of the Geneva authorities, I would like to thank the DiploFoundation and the Geneva Internet Platform for their invitation. Albert Einstein used to say that one cannot use an old map to explore a new world. This is definitely true when it comes to digitalization, one of the most transformative forces of our time. The Geneva Digital Atlas, created by Geneva Internet Platform, is most welcome in this context. I would therefore like to start by thanking you for this great piece of work. As you know, Geneva already plays a very significant role in digital issues. Many governance aspects of digitalization are already addressed here in Geneva. For example, in the trade, humanitarian, or normative areas. The authorities of Geneva are very engaged in promoting the richness of digital Geneva, and we are proud of this vibrant ecosystem. New technologies and digital tools are constantly evolving, with plenty of challenges involved. Many actions and initiatives are undertaken here in Geneva, but it is not easy to keep an overall view in this rapidly changing environment. This is where a new map, a new Geneva Digital Atlas, can play a key role. This mapping exercises presented in the Digital Atlas is useful because it does not only describes the role of the present international organization and other actors, but it also is very actionable. It will allow to create bridges in the area of digital governance and a better understanding of the system. The map helps us to see the wealth of the Geneva scene and, in particular, the rich network of connections between technological, human rights, security, and other actors shaping our digital real. Geneva is the world's premier multilateral diplomacy hub. This is where technology meets humanity. It has been the case since the foundation of the Red Cross. It is more crucial than ever before that we build on that proud heritage. To do so, the new normal must be collaborative. I am convinced that the new Geneva Digital Atlas will contribute exactly towards that. Thank you very much, and I wish you a very nice event.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Fontanet, for these introductory remarks, as well as for the support you provide to the Geneva Internet platform. I would like to pass the floor now to Mrs. Tatiana Valovaya, the Director General of the UN Office in Geneva. Please note that this is through a pre-recorded message. Mrs. Valovaya, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, a very warm welcome to the launch of the Geneva Digital Atlas. Let me begin by congratulating the Geneva Internet Platform and the DiploFoundation and the man at the head of both, Mr. Jovan Kurbalia, on their major cross-cutting initiative. It is a great pleasure to see the fruits of many months of dedicated work and genuine collaboration between a wide range of stakeholders in Geneva. Digital innovations have advanced more rapidly than any other innovations in our history and are profoundly changing our world today. The COVID-19 pandemic has created additional awareness for the role of digital technologies. On the upside, technologies have been of tremendous help by allowing the exchange of valuable health data across the globe, keeping people connected during confinements, enabling education while school closed, and essentially limiting the overall economic impact of the pandemic. But we also got a taste of the dark side of the technology, the spread of misinformation, finally fueling tensions and conflicts, xenophobia and discrimination, as well as contributing threat of cyber attacks. It is clear that we must take an active role in shaping digital technologies, or we will run the risk of being overwhelmed by their impact. The UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres already took action. In June 2020, he published the Roadmap for Digital Cooperation, which paints a picture of rapid innovation that has failed to reach the most vulnerable. According to the International Telecommunications Union, in 2019, close to 87% of individuals in developed countries had access to the internet, compared to 19% in the least developed countries. The roadmap is a call to collective action to ensure equal digital capacity for all and to strengthen digital cooperation. Here in Geneva, we're already on the right track. Geneva's diverse ecosystem and pioneering mindset have long made it the place where digital innovation has flourished, including the policy-making space. Ever since the World Wide Web was invented here, the city has been the preferred place for discussions and agreements to secure a safe and inclusive digital future for all. However, for outsiders, including for long-standing members of International Geneva, grasping the extensive digital policy landscape of the Geneva ecosystem is a daunting task. Every international organization, but also governments, academia, NGOs, and businesses based in Geneva now touch on topics of digitization in every aspect of their work. But the lack of awareness and access to it prevents us and our stakeholders from using the digital know-how to the full benefit of all. The Geneva Digital Atlas perfectly fills this gap by connecting dots across policy silos from security, economy, human rights, to standardization and many other areas. It shows how, where, and by whom digital policy issues are addressed in International Geneva, and it will greatly contribute to a more inclusive digital ecosystem. I know from my own experience that mapping Geneva's vast expertise is a difficult task. The SDG mapping has been a remarkable endeavor for the Perception Change project located in my office to portray the existing SDG expertise in Geneva. But I can assure you that these efforts are worth it. The expertise gathered in this digital atlas and the discussions around it form the basis for Geneva's continued success in the digital arena, a place where nations from around the world come together to seek shared digital solutions to common digital challenges. I invite you all to dive into the rich contents of the Atlas and promote its use in Geneva and beyond. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Valovaya. We would also like to hear a few words from Ambassador Jurek Lauber, the permanent representative of Switzerland to the United Nations and other international organizations in Geneva. Ambassador Lauber, please.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, it is a pleasure to address you at the occasion of the launch of the Geneva Digital Atlas. As we approach the end of 2020, we all know what we will remember this year most for. However, 2020 has also been characterized by an increased and accelerated use of digital technologies. Among other things, they have helped us to better understand and even contain the course of the pandemic and generally keep us connected in a time of physical distancing. As the Secretary General's roadmap on digital cooperation sets out, digitalization offers enormous opportunities, but it also entails risks. It poses questions, for example, regarding security, data protection, or the growing digital divide. There is need for cross-border cooperation, among other things on technical standardization or global data flow. Geneva has a long history as the place where different actors work together to find solutions to the global challenges of our societies. Nowhere in the world is there closer proximity and cooperation between international organizations, civil society, the private sector, science, and academia. As the Geneva Digital Atlas sets out, this is equally and probably especially the case for digital cooperation. The Atlas shows the richness and diversity of digital questions being treated in Geneva, be it in specific domains such as trade, health, labor, or environment, or more overarching on human rights, ethical standards, security, and trust in digital technologies. As you may know, this November, Switzerland has adopted its digital foreign policy strategy for the years 2021 to 2024. Digital governance plays an important role in this new strategy. Switzerland's goal is to strengthen inclusive, coordinated, multi-stakeholder cooperation fora to find sustainable solutions. There are several reasons why I believe the Digital Atlas is an excellent support instrument to reach these goals. Let me highlight two of them. First, the Atlas offers an entry point and invaluable guide into a big part of ongoing digital governance discussions in Geneva. The Atlas aims at supporting actors such as permanent missions to follow and participate in these processes as much as possible, even when resources are limited. Second, the Atlas is a tool to bring to bear potential synergies between processes. Institutions can consult it to link and coordinate their activities with partner organizations that work on similar topics. This will allow increased coherence, knowledge sharing, and the exchange of sectoral expertise. As digitalization increasingly touches all aspects of our daily life, such coordination becomes ever more important to find practical and coherent solutions. Dear colleagues, in conclusion, let me take this opportunity to thank and congratulate our colleagues at the Geneva Internet Platform for providing this atlas. It is a piece of work that builds on the long-lasting experience of the organization in promoting more inclusive and coordinated digital governance. Switzerland is proud to support this important effort, and we hope that many of you will actively benefit from it. I wish all of you an exciting introduction to the Atlas. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ambassador Lauber, for the support to Geneva Internet Platform, this exercise. And thanks to all of the previous two speakers, Mrs. Valovaya and Mrs. Fontane, for explaining the richness and complexity of the Geneva digital policy ecosystem. We will try to get deeper. Marco?
Yes, I think, Teresa, it's time to dive into the Atlas itself. Right?
Before we do so, and rest assured, we will really present this tool. I would like to first ask Jovan Kurbalia, if you allow me, the head of the Geneva Internet Platform, who will explain more on the methodology behind that, and maybe also take it from the moment where this idea actually appeared to being. Jovan, please join me here and please explain to us what is behind the Geneva Digital Atlas exercise. Thank you.
Hi, Teresa, thank you. A big hello to all of you who are joining in the Zoom room, on YouTube channels and various streaming services. It's really great to celebrate this first version of Geneva Digital Atlas as a result of a really comprehensive work of quite a few people at Geneva Internet Platform, DiploFoundation, and in particular international organizations. And it is probably the most interesting aspect. We use the advanced technology, we use artificial intelligence, but ultimately what is fascinating is a network of colleagues who were commenting on their resources, finding some sort of hidden treasures in their system on digital policy, digital governance. And that element of great discovery is fascinating. We discovered thousands of resources, 46 organizations, and I'm sure that this launch will inspire other organizations to contribute to this ongoing effort. Now, let me explain what you are seeing and how this atlas is functioning. We are presenting what you can see on the top, our printed version of the Atlas, but Atlas is supported by ongoing service, which is on the second layer, which you can see the summaries for each organization. Therefore, we had to keep Atlas within 100, 200 pages. Therefore, we couldn't go into all richness, but you can find it on Digital Watch, particular coverage for all of the actors in International Geneva. And what is probably the most interesting is the engine behind the Atlas. In addition to this network of collaborators, we've been using a lot: big data, artificial intelligence, smart analysis of interplay between humans and machines. Therefore, Atlas is powered by this deep research and analysis, where we combine expertise of specialists on questions like cybersecurity, e-commerce, and power of machines in analyzing big data. Therefore, I would like to invite you to start browsing this rich resource, to keep in touch, and to consider Geneva Digital Atlas as ecosystem, as a place for interaction, as a place for building knowledge, new insights, and new developments in digital field. Enjoy the navigating of Geneva Digital Atlas. Teresa, over to you.
Thank you very much, Jovan, for that. So I think the time is now right to see the actual tool. While it is pretty kind of intuitive how to navigate through, I would still like to welcome Marco to guide us through and explain more details. Marco, please.
Thank you, Teresa. Now it's finally time to dig a little deeper on the Atlas itself, where more than 50% of digital policies discussions happen in Geneva. This is what a study from DiploFoundation and the Geneva Internet Platform has found in 2013. Now you can imagine 7 years later today, how much that figure must have grown. More actors have came into the picture, more processes, more threads, and digital itself has, let's say, infiltrated more and more our daily work. I'm sure you have noticed this also in your daily routines. Well, so there was the need to update and to have a newer resource that would take a updated picture of the digital policy scene and the rich ecosystem that Geneva has to offer. I mean, of course, this is not the only study that we have realized, and the study that is available, as a matter of fact, on the dig.watch/atlas, the page where you have registered. You can find also other resources indicated, other studies that in the meantime, from 2013 up to date, have tried to map such a rich and complex ecosystem. So the need for an update was there, but we wanted also to take it a step further. We all hear that one of the major challenges, and this is also highlighted by the roadmap for digital cooperation by the Secretary General, is cross-fertilization and bridging or breaking policy silos. This is not easy, but we still wanted to try to ultimately address this, and ultimately with our Atlas, connect the dots among what are incubators of expertise here in Geneva. So a word, let's take it a step forward and let's go into the resource itself. The Atlas, it's composed by two parts: the executive summary, a document, and the online tool on Digital Watch. Let me start with the executive summary. The executive summary is now available on the landing page, dig.watch/atlas. Katarina can drop the link, the page where you have registered. There you can find a publication. You can read it through online, and you can also download it if you wish. So as I was saying, the idea was to take a picture at this moment in time and see which actor is doing what when it comes to digital in Geneva. And the approach was thematic. For example, if we look at one specific page of the PDF, we will see that we went a little bit further than saying this actor is active in digital and let's say is active in infrastructure or simply development. We wanted to specifically point the threads of each activity to the issues and the content that the organization is producing. So the executive summary, as the word says, it's, as I said, a picture, but also a very condensed and systematic analysis of who does what. Let's say you're a newly appointed diplomat in Geneva, or you just want to diversify your portfolio when it comes to your work, and you're interested to know which specific issue an organization is covering. What are the connections among these issues? Well, by flipping through the pages of the executive summary, in 1 or 2 minutes, the reader has the possibility to have a quick general overview, a general one, but not a superficial one. That's why we wanted to hyperlink each section and be specific in the content that we have inserted. So as I said, this is one part of the work. Of course, it's not all the work. The biggest research is the online tool. I mean, you can imagine a word on why we have realized this publication. Let me share a word on that. We were undecided between whether a normal or classical publications, most of them are out there, or a purely online tool. Why did we go for the double approach? Well, at the same time, we still know that the paper-based versions and studies are the ones that are most successful. At the same time, with such an amount of information, we wanted to condense and be as effective as possible so that the reader doesn't feel overwhelmed or is not lost through through a rich ecosystem. In the end, if we think of it, we make most sense of information and resources when they're put into context. So this is what we have tried to do with the executive summary. And you can just imagine if we're calling a 150-page document summary, it gives you the idea to what extent the researches that we have to analyze, the processes, the instruments that the Geneva Internet Platform team had to go through. But enough on the summary that you can also go through yourself. As I was saying, I took as an example the World Health Organization. You can find more than 50 actors and you can replicate the same exercise. You have pinpointed each specific issue, and we went, as I was saying, a little bit beyond the simple working on digital health or as approach digital. So we try to be specific on that. But now let me go on to what, if I can say, the most exciting part and the most fun part of the Atlas itself, the online tool that you can play with. And here I would ask the help of my colleague Adriana, who will share the screen so that she can show you how we can navigate the Atlas while I also guide you. So this is the Digital Watch Observatory website. It's a global outreach website with a global outlook. If you just go with the mouse over issues, you can see the taxonomy that we used and the taxonomy that also Jovan was talking about. The standard and systematic table that we try to use as an analysis, as grid, as a baseline for our research and work. Here you can find also live a daily update and lifetime real-time updates in each of these specific issues. So I'll leave it to your perusal. But back to the Geneva Digital Atlas, you can access this on the actors page. So you can just click on the actors section. And here you see it's the list of all the actors that we map globally, but you have the possibility of going specifically to Geneva. A little word of anticipation. You see that the New York Atlas was coming soon. Jovan will tell us more about it on the future steps. I said that the Geneva Digital Atlas for us is a starting point, not only for mapping Geneva and connecting its dots, but it's also a starting point to see how Geneva connects outside and elsewhere. So by clicking on Geneva, you access the Atlas itself. Here, you have the publication if you scroll down the page, and you also have the maps of the actors. You can see how rich the Geneva ecosystem is. We put specifically a map. Well, most of you know who is where, but just sometimes it happens to have a physical understanding of the proximity of all these actors. You have all the actors listed on the map, but the most useful tool that we wanted to integrate was the filter menu on the right side of the page. There you can navigate by acronym, by issue, and by stakeholder. If you want to navigate civil society, academia, and this is already a section that we are expanding as we speak. Let's say you want to filter and navigate the Atlas by issue. I said it already, with the PDF, you have a quick overview of all the activities of everyone. But this gives you the possibility to go a little bit more in depth, so find more content, more specific content, without getting lost in an ocean of information. Let's take an example. If we click on issues, we have many of them. So I can say, well, we can just take content policy, for example. So the regulation of content online, which entails the liability of intermediaries, to what extent online platforms can self-regulate or state intervention is needed, just for you. Those of you that are not familiar with the topic. If we apply the filter, the map is updated in real time, and it just shows those actors that work on the specific issue. So this is the perfect tool that you can use if you just want to cut transversally through the Geneva ecosystem by issue and by topic. As you can see under the map, if we scroll down the page, you see the actors that are active in that field. By clicking on one actor, let's say, I would say let's try to keep WHO. It's an example, but just because I showed you the PDF, I want to show you what type of different content you can find on both resources. This exercise can be replicated with no matter what organization. Here you're on the specific actor page. And on the right side, you find three very useful tabs: events, issues, and resources. Events, we tried, again, we are expanding this section, but we tried to include the landmark events. Those events that make sense, that set the stone for important digital developments for the organization. We have the issue tab that in 1 second, it gives you immediately an idea on which digital policy issues the actor is active. So in a matter of a click, you know already 5, 6, 10 issues the organization is acting on. And again, another function is the resources one. As you saw, also in the PDF, we have many links, many resources, declarations, and instruments that are hyperlinked. But it's a little bit to navigate through them while it's on a paper version. With this menu, you can easily scroll through the resource that it's of relevance for you. And by clicking on the resource, you have access to the content itself. So that's why we try to condense and make sense and all this abundance of information by making the most user-friendly possible. On the center of the page, you have the description and the digital activities of the organization. Of course, this is mirrored in the PDF because the PDF, as I said, the executive summary is a condensed version of what you find online. But I just want to underline, since you saw the executive summary of the WHO behind me, that on the website, not only you find events, you can navigate through resources and issues, but you can also find more specific information. When we scroll down the page of WHO, we can see, of course, as I said, the main text that is included in the executive summary. But if we go at the very end, after the digital tools, we can see that more information is included when it comes to real-time projects, developments, and especially negotiations or even processes that point towards digital cooperation. In the case of WHO, you can see lists of materials that are not included in the executive summary when it comes to important developments such as the World Health Data Hub and more. So it's a way for us to not cut off information, but make it the most informative for you as a users while you go through these resources. So this is in a nutshell what the Geneva Digital Atlas is about. The executive summary, which I mentioned, it's a yearly publication. We will update yearly. And the online tool, the website, which is updated in real time. I'm mentioning this because this is an invite to you who have already collaborated with us, have pointed to useful resources, and also to you that would like more issues to be included, more organizations to be included, to reach out to us at geneva@diplomacy.edu. We will put it on a slide later, and Katarina can also drop it in the chat moderator to help us. As I said, it's a picture, widen the frame of the picture. You know that working with digital developments, given their speed and pace, by the time you take the picture is already outdated. So it's a little bit of a difficult exercise for us, which we're not afraid to take, and which we also invite to contribute you to by sending us additional resources and by helping us keeping this as informative as possible and as useful as possible for you. But I think for the moment I will stop there, because we can also cover additional and future steps with you and later, Teresa. And we can go for the Q&A.
Definitely. Thank you very much, Marco. We certainly hope that the tool, especially the live part of it that Marco introduced, would be useful and very, very helpful for you. Thank you, Marco, also for stressing out that this exercise was not simply a desk research of us here sitting and our colleagues in other GIP and Diplo offices putting the resources together. There was a lot of back and forth and exchanges with many of the partners that are presented in the exercise. But Katarina Höne has been monitoring the chat discussion, which I believe has been quite lively. Katarina, would you be so kind and tell us about some of the questions or comments that Marco and Jovan can address?
Thank you so much, Teresa. So it's been a pleasure to have the opportunity to look at the chat. And what I would like to highlight first is that although we're focusing on Geneva, the audience we have with us is truly global. We had participants introducing themselves coming from Venezuela, South Africa, Ukraine, India. So we're literally spanning the whole globe, which is fantastic to see. In the chat, there was quite some excitement to get the link for the tool and to kind of start experimenting on the side of the people who are listening to us. So that was great. I would like to highlight one specific question which comes from the UK, from Mark Carvel. He says, and obviously it's a very important point, that the digital ecosystem is extremely diverse and extremely complex, and it's multi-stakeholder. So he's basically asking, how is the Digital Atlas helping us to kind of find these synergies and to kind of find pathways for effective cooperation that also helps us to kind of support sustainable development? So he's basically saying, how can we foster collaboration based on this mapping? And there was just that's it for the questions for now, and lots of positive remarks on the valuable tool that the Geneva Digital Atlas represents. Over to you.
As always, a great question from Mark. Mark, best regards to you. I will give you a concrete example how it can help us benefit in using these tools. You have data which is a cross-cutting issue. And in the radius of, let's say, 3 kilometers around the place where we stand now at the Geneva Internet Platform, you have actors in this building of World Meteorological Organization, which runs the most complex data network. You have a CERN, you have those who are covering data from human rights, privacy perspective, e-commerce, WTO. Very often, on the example of data, but you can apply to cybersecurity or standardization, which I'm sure you're quite involved in. You can find real silos that there is no interplay between one policy perspective and another policy perspective. Our first aim with the Atlas is to bring what is happening concretely in the question of data and standardization. In addition to ISO, International Standardization Organization, ITU, International Electrotechnical Commission, you have at least 10 other organizations which are doing some sort of standardization within their realms. But it is WHO on data in health, WMO in data in climate change and weather, and other organizations. Now, there are a lot of possibility for convergences because data is ultimately similar or the same. Therefore, this is one example where within the limited the space, we can contribute a lot to overcoming, let's say, double work or creating these convergences. And what has been appearing clearly from our research, which has been going for almost 1 year, is that people suddenly realized that what they do is relevant to the person sitting next door in even in the same organization, let alone across the street. And this is our major challenge, I would say, to create those dots. And on example of data, you can find example of AI, cybersecurity, e-commerce, you name it and you have it.
Perhaps one question raised by Benson from South Africa is the question of how to contribute. So we already shared the email, but basically the question of, are there any specific deadlines? Is there anything specific that you would be looking for in kind of updating this process? And perhaps also with a view to what's going to happen in New York, perhaps. Over to you.
Maybe Marco, you have been involved more in this day-to-day work. You can give more concrete information. But the sense of Atlas is it is a process. We have, as Marco said, we have a snapshot photo today, but this is ongoing process. Marco?
Yes, exactly, Jovan. As I was saying, I mean, the fact that today we have shared with you the Geneva Digital Atlas, both the executive summary and the online tool, doesn't mean that the work stops here. Actually, as a matter of fact, if we have not stopped, we are continuing the work. On one hand, I said that the yearly publication, being an yearly appointment, will be updated throughout the year, but will be published next year at the same time. But the live resource is the website. So while we accumulate and update resources through the rich exchanges that you were mentioning to build up to the executive summary for next year, we update and integrate the content on Digital Watch real time, which is the actual tool that you can use and you can navigate through. So for the moment, the contribution system, you send us an email, geneva@diplomacy.edu. The three of us, Teresa, Jovan, and myself, we will receive it and share it with the team. And we'll see especially how to fit your contribution when it comes to the future atlases, the connections with Geneva and other hubs, New York, Addis Ababa, and Vienna. So this is the main track of update for the moment. And just a word on previously on how the Atlas can contribute and help you to connect the dots. I'm repeating the thematic approach and the approach by issue. It's something that we have not adopted only for the Atlas, but we have adopted also in other digital cooperation processes, such as the Road to Bern via Geneva, which we have concluded this year. And we found that approaching issues and thematics or challenges and opportunities through data by topic, the GAP can serve as boundary spanner, as connector, as convener of different organizations that are incubators of expertise because they have expertise in precise issues, but they are not aware of what the other organization is doing or what are the margins of cooperations when it comes to limit the spanners of that. So just to mention,
thank you.
This is
thank you, Marco. Maybe just to add, building on Mark and Benson's question, we would like to have New York, the Digital Atlas, or Addis Ababa, or London. London is one of the vibrant centers, Brussels, Beijing, New Delhi. Therefore, we will be producing and developing those versions of Digital Atlas, which are related to specific geographical localities. Therefore, please contribute to it, send point to some missing links in our discussion and something that you think should be added. But our ultimate objective of this and other works of Geneva Internet Platform is to increase inclusive, informed, and impactful digital governance and digital policy making.
Thank you to Marco. Thank you to you, Jovan, and Katarina, of course, for guiding us through. Of course, feel free to continue the discussion online, and any questions, even if we don't manage to tackle them in this event, will be answered later. But Jovan, don't run away yet. You have hinted a little bit about our future plans. Marco has explained that at least the PDF is a snapshot. It's a picture at this time. Pictures can be played with further, edited. So what do we have up our sleeves for the next few months?
Well, a lot of creativity, a lot of innovation, and more specifically, we are going to have during the 2021 so-called Geneva Digital Tours or walks. We'll start in January. We'll dedicate one tour per month. Therefore, we'll start literally walking through Geneva and visiting places involved in January in the history and philosophy of technology. Visiting the place when Jean-Jacques Rousseau was born, Voltaire, Charles Bonnet, who basically did this sort of early artificial intelligence link between artificial intelligence and nature. Therefore, that will be focus of our walks in January. Then we'll move on standardization issues, and we will be literally connecting different places in Geneva and asking people from those organizations what are the links, how they can contribute to this important debate. This is one line that will be moved forward. The other line is intensive use of artificial intelligence and data processing for identify these cross-cutting links by processing documents and literally coming to the organizations, missions, NGOs and say, by the way, on standardization, this is a missing link. Why you don't get together with the other organization, not in general, but on specific policy process, where maybe ISO is doing something which is relevant for the WHO. Therefore, our aim will be to create, by using the latest tool, create these linkages and to help all in Geneva and worldwide to connect the dots. But generally speaking, the first step is to do what we can do in our immediate surrounding. But the aim is to have the global digital atlas with the connection among different policy centers, different organizations and actors in this field.
No, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Jovan. At this point, Katarina, anything else we should bring in from the online discussion?
Yes, there's one more question by Michael Kende on any surprising findings on the work being done in Geneva, and especially in terms of cross-fertilization, links between different organizations, overlap in the work organizations are doing that, for example, you haven't been aware of before that we now can see because of the Atlas.
No, well, always good to hear from you, Michael, and also thank you for the excellent work you have done. So maybe you have a reflection from you.
Back on stage. Yes, the most sort of astonishing discoveries are related to the fact how the whole International Geneva is galvanizing around data. And you cannot find any international organization which is not discussing the question of collecting, processing, securing, and presenting data. Those are 4 pillars of the road to burn process. That's fascinating, and it is fascinating to find oases of expertise like ICRC on security. Well, in the case of a Red Cross, the protection of data is often a matter of life and death. Then the question of sharing data in the WMO, climate change data, and that is the element which is amazing, and also numerically to realize the WMO, for example, coordinates the most diverse network of data collection facilities, from satellites to water, ground, or that CERN is one of the biggest processor of data in the world. Therefore, that is fascinating, these elements of data. And it is also fascinating how within the organizations there are innovations, sometimes coordinating, but sometimes coming from the specific units. And you can find in the Atlas details, but we plan to elaborate more on those seeds on innovation and development of new type of multilateralism. And we shouldn't forget that in addition to traditional digital organizations like ITU, ICANN, Internet Society, there is a fast process of digitalization of traditional international organizations. WHO, World Health Organization, is a fascinating example of the obviously reaction to the COVID crisis, but also very innovative solutions around data, AI, infodemics, and the other issues. And similar examples can be found in the most of organizations. Therefore, as we are discussing Geneva Digital Atlas and digitalization, a lot of innovation, probably not visible, is happening in International Geneva, and I'm sure worldwide.
Thank you very much, Jovan.
So
you can leave now. Yes. So if you have been joining us from Geneva, we certainly hope that the tool that we have presented will prove useful. We would like to encourage you to play with it, to provide us with feedback, and based on what Marco Lotti has explained, to get back to us with more inputs, more information to help it shape it further. If you have been joining us outside of Geneva, we hope that this event and the resources that we have prepared have contributed to understanding how much of digital policy is actually brewing in International Geneva. Marco?
Thank you, Teresa. Just to join your final remarks, please do not hesitate to get in touch and to richen and to make even more complete a resource a work that for us is just a starting point. So do not hesitate to contribute and to make this resource richer, but also more useful for you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you for spending this hour with us, and please keep in touch. Thank you to all our colleagues behind the scenes. Bye-bye, and have a good afternoon.